bullet hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him. I wake up screaming every night. My son will never know his father.
These aren't the words of a witness. These are the words of a 3 months pregnant woman who watched her boyfriend get executed by his ex-lover. December 23, 2024, Phoenix, Arizona. Khalid Williams stood in his apartment doorway with an AK-47 and unleashed 25 rounds into a car. His target? The man who'd left him for a woman. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a premeditated execution over the most twisted motive imaginable. Keyshawn Stewart had committed the unforgivable sin of going back to dating women after 6 years with another man. And for that, he would pay with his life. Before we continue, if real-life family crime grips you, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and smash subscribe with the bell so you never miss a new case on Fatal Family Network. Phoenix, Arizona, a city where the crime rate hits 32.7 incidents per 1,000 residents, where the desert heat matches the intensity of its violence, and where 35-year-old Keyshawn Stewart thought he could simply walk away from a relationship and start over. He was wrong. Keyshawn wasn't from Phoenix originally. Longview, Texas shaped him into a family man. 2 kids depended on him. By every measure that mattered, he was a devoted father who put his children first. His social media claimed he was single, but that was a lie, a dangerous one. See, Keyshawn had a secret. After years of dating women and building a traditional family, he'd made a choice that would ultimately kill him. He decided to explore relationships with men, not permanently, not as a lifestyle change, just curiosity. That curiosity led him straight to Khalid Williams, 33 years old, 6 prior felony convictions. The kind of man who shouldn't have been anywhere near an AK-47, but somehow had one waiting in his apartment. For 6 years, these 2 men were locked in what everyone who knew them called a toxic relationship. Keyshawn was experimenting with something new. Khalid? He thought he'd found his forever. He was wrong about that too. October 2024. Keyshawn Stewart made a decision that signed his own death warrant. He told Khalid it was over. He was done experimenting, done with men, going back to women, a complete factory reset, as he called it. But here's what makes this case particularly twisted. Keyshawn didn't just leave. He immediately found a new girlfriend, got her pregnant within weeks, started building the exact life Khalid could never give him. For a man with 6 felony convictions and an illegal assault rifle, this was more than rejection. This was humiliation. They tried to stay civil through November. There was a car to sort out. Keyshawn owned it, but Khalid had been making payments. Every phone call about that car became a battleground. Every text message dripped with barely contained rage. By December, Khalid Williams was a bomb waiting to explode. His ex-boyfriend was living with a pregnant woman, building a family, moving on like their 6 years meant nothing. December 23rd should have been just another argument about the car, should have been just another heated phone call. But Keyshawn made a fatal mistake. He decided to handle it face to face. "We're coming over," he told Khalid. "Let's settle this." He brought his 3 months pregnant girlfriend with him. They drove to Khalid's apartment near 19th Avenue in Maryland, thinking they could talk it out like adults. They had no idea they were walking into an ambush. The argument started inside the apartment, voices raised, old wounds reopened. Keyshawn had heard enough. He and his girlfriend headed back to their car. They were leaving, walking away, done with the drama. That's when Khalid Williams made his choice. He went for the AK-47. What happened next would be captured in police reports, witness statements, and the haunted testimony of a pregnant woman who held her dying boyfriend in her arms while their car crashed into the darkness. A crime so senseless that even the killer would later say he didn't know what made him do it.
The police report states Khalid told officers he didn't know what made him do it, other than the stress and drama of their relationship, and that the only thing he could do was accept responsibility and pray for forgiveness.
But we know. This was about control, about possession, about a man who couldn't accept that his ex-boyfriend had chosen a different life. and in the end, it was about murder. Khalid Williams watched through his apartment window as Keyshawn and his pregnant girlfriend walked toward their car. The argument was over. They were leaving. In that moment, something snapped. He grabbed the AK-47, a weapon he had no legal right to own. 6 felony convictions meant he should never have touched a firearm again. But legal restrictions meant nothing now. Only rage mattered. The couple had barely made it to their vehicle when Khalid appeared. No warning, no final words. Just a man with an assault rifle and murder in his heart. 25 rounds erupted from the AK-47, and somewhere in that hurricane of bullets, one found its mark. Keyshawn's girlfriend would later tell the court exactly what happened in those seconds that felt like hours.
I was in the incident when it happened. I was there.
Were you in the vehicle?
Yes, sir, I was.
That was shot at? Okay.
I'm also 3 months pregnant with this child.
The bullet entered the back of Keyshawn's head while he was trying to drive them to safety. His body went limp. The car veered out of control. She watched the man she loved, the father of her unborn child, die right there beside her. The vehicle crashed. Keyshawn's body fell across her pregnant belly. She was pinned, trapped with her dead boyfriend's weight pressing down on her unborn child. Blood everywhere, glass everywhere, the smell of gunpowder hanging in the air. She held him. What else could she do? Trapped in that twisted metal coffin, 3 months pregnant, holding the father of her baby while his blood soaked into her clothes, waiting for help that felt like it would never come. Phoenix police arrived to a scene of absolute devastation. 25 shell casings littered the ground, a crashed car with a dead man inside, and a traumatized pregnant woman who'd witnessed every second of his execution. But here's where this case takes an unexpected turn. Khalid Williams didn't run, didn't try to hide the weapon, didn't deny what he'd done. When officers arrived, he was still there, waiting. The police report would later reveal something even more disturbing. When they asked Khalid why he did it, his answer was chillingly simple. "I don't know what made me do it, other than the stress and drama of our relationship." Stress? Drama? Those were the words he used to explain murder. Detectives quickly pieced together the real motive. This wasn't about a car payment dispute. This was about Keyshawn choosing to leave the gay lifestyle and return to dating women. This was about a pregnancy that represented everything Khalid could never have with him. This was about rejection taken to its most violent extreme. When investigators later showed Khalid the surveillance footage of the shooting, his only response was, he didn't deserve that. Khalid told detectives he'd learned about Keyshawn's death the modern way, through a Google search. After pumping 25 rounds into a car, he went home and searched the internet to see if he'd actually killed him. Technology meeting brutality in the most disturbing way possible. Khalid Williams was arrested at the scene. 4 days later, he faced a judge on charges of first-degree murder. His 6 prior felonies meant the illegal AK-47 added weapons charges to his case. In court, Keyshawn's pregnant girlfriend said just one thing that mattered.
He was shooting at us. One of the bullets hit my boyfriend in the back of the head, which is what caused us to crash the car. And he landed on my belly, and I held him. I wake up screaming every night. My son will never know his father.
The judge set his bond at $1 million. 25 bullets fired in rage. 1 life ended. Multiple lives destroyed. All because one man couldn't accept that his ex-boyfriend had chosen a different path. All because Keyshawn Stewart had decided to love a woman instead. 25 bullets, 1 dead father, 2 orphaned children in Texas who will grow up wondering why daddy never came home. A baby who will enter this world already marked by tragedy, having felt his father die before taking his first breath. Keyshawn Stewart died because he chose to love who he wanted to love, because he decided his experimental phase was over, because he dared to imagine a future that didn't include Khalid Williams. In interviews after his arrest, Khalid would claim he wasn't in the right state of mind, said he found out Keyshawn was dead by Googling it later, talked about accepting responsibility and praying for forgiveness. Empty words from a man who'd already shown his true face in that courtroom when he blamed his victims for their own execution. The car they'd fought over, still sitting in some impound lot, a piece of metal that became the excuse for murder. Though everyone knows it was never really about the car, it was about control, about ownership, about a man who believed he had the right to decide whether his ex-lover lived or died. Phoenix's crime statistics would add one more homicide to their yearly count, another domestic violence death in a city that sees too many. But statistics can't capture what really happened here, can't explain the particular cruelty of killing someone for choosing their own path. Keyshawn's children lost their father 2 days before Christmas. His unborn son will never meet the man who should have taught him to throw a baseball, helped with homework, walked him down the aisle someday. All those moments stolen by 25 bullets and one man's rage. Some traumas don't fade. Some nightmares never end. This case stands as a stark reminder that leaving an abusive relationship remains one of the most dangerous decisions anyone can make. Keyshawn Stewart thought he could simply walk away, start fresh, build a new life. He paid for that hope with his life. In the end, Khalid Williams got what he wanted. If he couldn't have Keyshawn, nobody could. The ultimate act of possession. The final word in a toxic relationship that should have ended with goodbye, not gunfire. Keyshawn Stewart was 35 years old, a father, a son, a man who tried to find himself and lost his life in the process. He deserved better than 25 bullets on a December morning. He deserved the chance to raise his children, to meet his unborn son, to live the life he'd chosen. Instead, he became another statistic, another victim, another reminder that sometimes love doesn't just hurt, sometimes it kills. May his children find peace. May his unborn son know his father was trying to build a better life. And may Keyshawn Stewart rest knowing that his story has been told, that his death wasn't just another Phoenix homicide, that someone remembered he was human. That's the story the statistics won't tell you. That's the tragedy behind the headlines. That's why we tell these stories. Because every victim has a name. Every murder leaves a hole that can never be filled. And every life lost to domestic violence deserves to be remembered. The Keyshawn Stewart case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about possession, control, and the deadly consequences of rejection. In a world where people kill for money, power, or revenge, Khalid Williams killed for something even more primal. The inability to accept that someone he claimed to love had chosen a different life. 6 years together. 6 years ended. 25 bullets fired. One life destroyed. Multiple futures shattered. All because one man couldn't let go. Some crimes defy explanation. Some murders transcend motive. This is one of them. Keyshawn Stewart died not for what he did, but for who he chose to become. And in the end, that might be the most senseless tragedy of all. Family should be a refuge, but even the closest ties can fracture. Stay alert, look out for one another, and reach out if you sense danger. See you in the next story here on Fatal Family Network. Thanks for watching.